Hey everyone, this is Joe with SignTracker. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me. I am giving a talk at a trade show coming up here pretty soon, so I thought it would be fun to record this and post it for your entertainment pleasure. So, how to grow your sign shop to 7 figures and not work 80 hours a week. I was thinking about this originally and I was thinking, I'm just going to write down like 100 things Joe has screwed up over the past 25 years, give it to everyone and just say, don't do those things. You'll be good. But I thought this might be more productive. So I have been very fortunate, I think. I've had the opportunity to start and grow 2 sign shops over the past 25 years. And for me, it's always really interesting to talk to sign folks because, most people don't think about the multi-billion-dollar industry, the sign industry, as a career option or starting a business from scratch. In most sign shops that I talk to, it's like, my grandparents started it, then my parents had it, and then now I'm 3rd generation or 2nd generation. A lot of times people kind of stumble into the sign industry because their parole officer said that's a great option. Just kidding. For me, I knew nothing about the sign business, and so I graduated college with a degree in religion, thinking I was going to save the world, and it was like, God, please, what am I supposed to do with my life? Show me a sign. Bada-bum. So here I am. But anyway, it's just such a cool industry, and I'm really, really grateful to have stumbled into it. My first sign shop, we had 10, million plus in sales. It was a pretty big shop, 60,000 square feet, 60 plus employees, and we did full fabrication, crane trucks, installation, the whole 9 yards. After I sold that, I started a sign shop with my daughter, who grew up in the sign business, 2nd generation, grew up in a sign shop. We grew the business to over $1 million in sales. We had 6 employees, just a small office focusing primarily on design and project management, and we outsourced all of our fabrication and installation. Problem with getting your kid in the sign business, though, is like occasionally she'll have one of those sign shop stressful days and she'll just call me and she'll go, you got me into this, click, and hang up on me. Anyway, she'll be fine. But SignTracker started growing while I had the 2nd sign shop with her. So my son-in-law came on board, and my daughter and my son-in-law took over the business. They bought it for me so I could work on SignTracker full-time, which I love doing, because I talk to every day, talk to sign shops, and really the problems are very similar, right? Like figuring out a sane way to track jobs from start to finish. And these are all the problems that I had in my shop too. And that's why we, kind of worked on a system we called the job tracker at that time in our shop. But, we were always trying to kind of hammer away at making it better and better. And so, and when I talk to sign shops, they have the same problems. So, providing consistent quotes, and then also having a system that when they hire people, that they could use it to train them. So these questions come up a lot, and maybe you've had these questions too, right? Like, hey, I feel so overloaded already, but yet why do I feel like I need more work? Why can't I find better clients or better jobs? Am I actually even making money at this? And how am I supposed to have a life? So let's talk about some of these. So number 1, I think it's really important. Some sign shops, some of the things they're doing wrong, I guess, right, is, and I did this too, but it's really important to attract more quality customers. So let's talk through that because, when you're first starting, especially, I think, or even if you're bigger and you have a big overhead, you feel this pressure to take every job that comes in the door. Oh my gosh, I got to make payroll. Or if I'm new, I want that first crumb just so I can start doing something. And I get it. And maybe at points you might need to take some jobs like that. But ultimately, if you're filling your funnel with those kinds of jobs, it's just really not good for the business overall. The problems that this creates is it overloads your shop with unprofitable jobs. It squanders any development time you have for quality customers. Like if you're going to really nurture those relationships, they take time. And if you're so overloaded already, you're not going to have the time to do it. Also, if everyone's running around feeling overworked and stressed and everything's on fire and they can't find information, overall that's going to lower productivity and it will lower your profit margins. So, and we've all had this happen, right? Like let's talk through what a quality customer is. So you had customers walk in the door and say, oh man, I have a really tight timeline. I don't have a big budget. But you know what? You're going to get all my work. I promise I'm going to tell everyone about you. The problem with those, and it's tempting to take, there's different scenarios. You get what I'm trying to say. But the problem with customers like that is they're the ones that want 10 designs. Nope, that's not right. Change it again. They're the ones that want, oh, can you just shave a few $100 more off? They're the ones that complain about it not going up on time and not being right. And then they're the ones that don't pay. You have to go after them for the money. Or would you rather have quality customers that want to bring you in, invite you to the table to help you solve their problems? So what I discovered, over the years, and mostly the hard way, for sure, is that 80% of our profits came from the top 20% of our customers. And so, what is a quality customer? First of all, quality customers' close ratio, and this is huge. If you have a relationship with them, as you know, it is much more cost effective to maintain a healthy relationship than it is to try to find new ones. And then you risk also finding cheaper ones. Quality customer quotes, the close ratio is huge, 60 to 70% compared to 5 to 20% on someone that's just looking for a deal. And if you think about, and you guys know this, right? The effort that goes in to creating a quote in the sign industry is huge, even for a small banner. There's design that goes into it. Where is it going? What's it going to be used for? What's visibility? There's a lot of questions to ask. And on bigger projects, it's site surveys, checking with city codes. You know the drill. So by the time you get to the point where the customer signs off on this, you've done a lot of work. Quality customers too, they will spend more money per project, right? So they're not coming to you, hey, we're doing this big apartment complex and we want a monument sign and a chair letter sign and a bunch of ADA signs. Oh, but you know what? We don't really have the budget for all the restroom signs, so forget those. Their projects are generally bigger projects and they want to spend more on the projects. Quality customers value your work and they're willing to pay for it if you have the right kind of customer. Quality customers, and this is important, they're looking for long-term relationships with reliable partners. So I ask you this, would you rather have 20 crappy customers or 4 sweet ones and just make better money? So what you can do instead, so in developing relationships with quality customers, begin to identify the types of customers that you want to work with and then creatively connect with them. I will say that, look, these folks are high touch. For the most part, someone's not going to say, well, hey, I want to spend $10,000 or $20,000 on fleet graphics for my 10 trucks, or I want to do an apartment complex that's a $100,000 project. They're not going to go to Google and search for sign shops near me. They're going to have relationships, and to build relationships with those kind of customers, they are high touch. You need to go out and meet them. Everybody else, look, automate it the best you can. Make it as low touch as possible, right? So if you do, want to sell banners as filler jobs or site signs or whatever, take out a Google ad, have a web developer, spend a few grand, have a web developer build an order form for you on your website. Or my all-time favorite is just learn to say no. But one thing that and it took me a while to get this, right? It's like that whole imposter syndrome. Am I really a business owner? I'm just a sign guy, and it took me a while to get over that. But I realized that I brought something of huge value in high touch relationships. I was on the same playing field as those that were trying to accomplish big goals. And look, the sign industry, right? It's like, hey, it's there's creativity that goes into it, and design, engineering, understanding of city codes, licensed electricians. It's very skilled labor, very creative. And don't ever forget that you're awesome and you bring huge value to high touch quality relationships. So how to start finding quality customers. And it's creative, right? So some things are going to work. You go out, you experiment a little bit. If something works, double down on it. If something doesn't work that great, try something different. There's no exact science to it. And it really depends on, your community. But I think first and foremost, identify the ones you want, and then find out where they hang out, right? So let's say you wanted to work with a bunch of architects. Do they have a trade show? Do they have happy hours? Do they have an association? Go to mixers and start meeting them. But go find out where they hang out and go to them. Also, this was always great for us. Sponsor a nonprofit. Companies that care about their community get involved in nonprofits, and they're very proud of those relationships. And if you get involved with nonprofits too, you will meet quality people there. Like in Austin, there's this event every year called Barkitecture, and all these architects design, really cool dog houses, and then they have them built and they're auctioned off, and all the money is raised for Austin Pets Alive. And so what we would do is we would build a couple of these dog houses for different architects. And it was great. I mean, they would come to the shop while the houses were being built, and they got to see what we did there. And then even the event itself, we got to go work in the booths and would walk around and meet other architects. Hey, go check out the house we did with, blah, blah, blah. And we met tons of folks that way and built some really great relationships. The other one I highly recommend too, especially I think for signs and graphics folks, is Habitat for Humanity is such a high profile nonprofit. And if you have a Habitat for Humanity in your community, our involvement with them just ended up, and look, your heart is in the right place, right? You want to give to them and help them, but also you will build some great relationships there. It's like this box truck that's in this picture here. We did all the graphics for all their box trucks. We donated them. We had a little sticker in the back of the truck that said, graphics donated by SignTracker International with our website and our logo. We had it on all their trucks. Also, we did site signs for them. So every time they did a new build, they would have a 4x8 site sign, and the different companies, whether it's Dell Computers or this architectural firm or whatever, would donate to get that house built. And then always SignTracker International was on there too. And lastly, we would go and do build days. And so about once a quarter, we would take an owner, a designer, a couple folks from the shop, and we would go. And it was, first of all, it was great team building. And the employees would be on the clock, so they were paid for their time there, and would have lunch together and would do this build. But then again, we would just meet other companies out there doing the same thing, and it was amazing. So again, get creative. We threw a open house party. We brought all our customers into the shop and had beer and wine and food, and and made it really cool. Had a little jazz band, and they got to tour the shop. And we even signed a deal one time doing that. We were probably going to sign it anyway, but after the developer had a few cocktails in him, he goes like, "Where's that contract? Let's just get it signed." And we signed like a huge pylon project. But again, just get creative, have fun, try a few things. Throw some money at it. If it works, wonderful. If it doesn't, try another avenue. So a couple of profiles just to think about, and think about, and I guess as you're developing these quality relationships, think about what they care about, right? So obviously architects and designers, they care about the integrity of their designs and the quality of the materials that go into their projects, right? So they're designing these beautiful build outs or these beautiful buildings. The last thing in the world they want is just a crappy sign, because signs are like the cherry on top. So and they want to make sure that it's quality. Property managers, they would what they really care about obviously is leasing spaces, right? So they have these spaces, and so a lot of times we would do site signs and would always try to give them a really good deal on those. And it was kind of a lost leader, but it would help us build relationships. But we would also really help them to help their tenants by volunteering. We would do it for free, but we would review their sign criteria. And a lot of times, these properties, especially if they've been around for a while, their sign criteria might be out of date with city code that's changed. And so what we would do is we would make sure that the sign criteria portions, because lots of times they were confusing anyway, and we would write them out super simple with schematics on how the signs were going to be attached to the building, what kind of graphics they were allowed to have on the windows, what kind of graphics they were allowed to have on the pylon signs. And then we would say sign criteria by SignTracker International with all of our contact information. And that was in exchange for doing it for free. Hundreds of jobs came from that, hundreds of jobs. So that's just a couple of ideas, but I think the most important thing is to really start thinking about what your quality customers care about. So number 2, how to create a positive experience for your customers. So some things that shops are doing wrong is they lack systems to track jobs and update clients. And, obviously I'm passionate about this as owner of SignTracker, but, I think it's important that you be willing to take the leap to put a system in place, stick to it. It's hard to develop new habits, especially if you've already been doing things a certain way. Hey, we have a whiteboard, whatever. But the problem is it's hard for your whole team to know where things are at in the shop, and it's impossible to keep clients updated if it's just in your head. And oftentimes what happens if you don't know what's in your shop, you might have a situation where you overpromise and underdeliver. Guilty as charged. I mean, how many times have you guys done this where it's like, hey, I get this, sign and it's $5,000 and man, I'm going to give you the work if you can get it out, in 30 days. Okay, sure, we'll do it. We'll make it happen. But then, you go back to the shop and you squeeze it into production and you just realized, I just ticked off 5 customers doing that because I'm going to have to bump everyone's due dates. So, it's just really important to commit to a system. And also quoting, make sure that system gives you the tools to quote and that other people in the shop might be able to assist with that, especially on the simpler projects. If you're the owner and you want to own the complicated ones, it's fine. But don't just quote on the fly. Don't just hold everything in your head. I get that a lot when I talk to project managers and doing training sessions and, the owner's not there. And it's like, man, it just sucks. We're chasing the owner around all the time. He keeps all the pricing in his head. We can't get him to sit down long enough. And it leads to problems, right? So late follow-up or missed quotes, and then obviously missed project due dates. But I think most important, it's hard to go out and get your foot in the door for some of these high-quality customers. It takes time. But when you do, and something goes south, you're going to miss future opportunities to do more projects with them, because these folks, they're wanting to be, they're wanting to have long-term relationships with quality vendors. And so, as soon as something goes really bad, obviously they move down the road to find the next one. But even more important is the referrals, because if you're really in with somebody and you're part of their tool chest, and one of the architects decides he's going to break off and start his own thing, or a designer, same thing, they're taking you with them. And so all of a sudden, organically, you're growing your base of quality customers because you're taking good care of them. And look, disappointed customers, it can have a lasting negative impact. It's hard to hide from these. I found this online, and I know it's an extreme case, but still, it's like this sign shop, it's like this is on their record. This sign shop, they're only interested in my money. Poor communicators. They can't get projects right. They're rude, and don't waste your time. That's rough. So what you can do instead. So start by setting yourself apart from other sign shops, and don't just be a sign provider. Be a partner with these folks, right? Involve them in the discovery process. So first, take time to listen. What are they trying to accomplish on this project? And what are the problems? What are the challenges? And what are they hoping to see at the end? And then educate them. Most folks don't really know how sign shops work, right? You've run across it. They come to your shop and they see the amount of labor and all that goes into it. And it's like, I just thought that stuff was on the shelf, So take time to educate them about the processes and what they're allowed to have, set realistic expectations on time and budget, and then provide creative solutions. Don't just be a roadblock. It might be that they, no, we can't do that. Well, maybe think through what can be done instead. Or, hey, that's a great idea, client. My Boston accent coming out there. But have you thought about doing it this way? And look, as you're building, honest relationships with them and being honest with them, they're going to trust you more and more and more. Train your team. This is Joe's hokey pokey stuff here. Train your team to care about your customers' happiness. So, if you have talented folks, they're coming to the shop, they're making signs, they're punching the clock in, they're making signs, they're getting them out the door, and, I'm punch the clock at the end of the day, go home, have a beer, kick the dog, whatever. But the thing is, if you can get your team excited about making sure that your customers are happy, it's, first of all, they'll feel a much better sense of purpose at work. They will really care a lot more about what they're doing. They'll care about the business. They'll care about your customers, and it will just create a wonderful culture at your shop. Another thing to think about is to close every project with a phone call and a thank you card. It goes a long way. I can't tell you how many times, I would say, hey, an invoice wasn't paid or whatever. And so I'll call the customer. It's 30 days late. And the customer says, Joe, I didn't even know you guys were done. Also, hey, I went by and, the graphics weren't completed. And it's like, and first of all, you have to reset on the on the receivable, and so now they're out another 30 days. And, and it really could have all been solved with a phone call. And one thing we would do too is, we would, send nice completion photos of all the jobs and a thank you card. I know it sounds kind of hokey, but get some nice thank you cards printed up with your logo and send them out to your customers, and have, the owner and a few people in the shop sign them and the designer sign them. It goes a long way to get that, in their hand. It says, thank you. Hey, we really enjoyed this project with you and looking forward to the next one. It works. Also, make your sign shop inviting. It's cool to bring people to the sign shop, but if the shop is just a mess and it's not very inviting, it's don't bring them there, obviously. But if the front of your shop, and I get it, the back end, everything's buzzing like a cheap TV. You're out there, you're making signs and printing and cutting, and fine. That's how the sausage is made, But the front end of the shop, we would always have like a nice area to meet, a little conference table. And it was small, but, stained concrete floor, neon clock, and some cool artwork up on the wall with some shelves and samples of, lighting types and, color books and swatches and all that. And it was great. People enjoyed coming to our shop, would sign contracts there, would go into the back of the shop, would show them how things were done. Always invite them to come if they want to see the progress of their signs. So anyway, something to think about. 3, how to expand your shop without having to expand your footprint, right? So you don't, I think what happens to a lot of folks is they start to confuse busyness with growth. And a lot of times that, again, comes from lack of systems, because they don't really have their finger on the pulse of what's going on, but they're busy as crap. And they're like, what do I do with all this? They tend to react to that feeling, when things are on fire, and they react by, most times, sadly, overextending themselves financially. So whether it's buying equipment too soon, or renting too much space, or hiring the wrong people. The problems that this creates, obviously, is losing money without really knowing why, spending too much time hiring and training. Everyone knows what goes into that. And if it's the wrong person, or you didn't really need them after all, it's just such a waste of time and resources. And the worst case is it's not sustainable, right? So if you keep operating in a way that things are just always on the edge of nuclear meltdown, eventually you're going to burn out and go out of business. So some things we can do instead. I think owners, as you're building these quality relationships, owners sell best. And I've been told a million times by folks, oh, but I'm not really a salesperson. Look, I get it. I'm way more of a relationship person than I am a salesperson. And I think if you're passionate about your why story, people like doing business with people they like and people that are passionate. Maybe you worked at a sign shop and you just felt like, man, they just didn't have it together. They were ticking clients off left and right. Employees were quitting because they were discouraged, and you thought you could do this better. And so you're setting out on this journey to take better care of customers and take better care of your business and your team. People like hearing that, and they want to do business with people that care. So if you're the owner, get out and tell your story, shake some hands, meet some folks, and start building some relationships. In the shop, focus on making the most profitable products for less, right? So what do I mean when I say that? Look, if you have a channel letter branding machine and a couple guys that can assemble and you're just great at knocking those out, great, focus on that and sell to that. Or if you're just really good at mass producing banners or whatever, whatever it is, focus on 2, 3, 4 things that you're really, really good at doing and then grow from there. Also, if you've been at this game for a while, don't be afraid to cut your losses. It is not a sign of failure, right? So if a third of your shop is sitting empty and filled up with a bunch of junk in an old broken down bucket truck, get rid of it all. Subdivide your space, lease it out to somebody else. If you need to, whatever adjustments you need to make, but don't be afraid to cut your losses. It's not a sign of failure. It's a sign of progress. So more things you can do instead as you're growing your business, like say you are completely focused on 2, 3, 4, half dozen things, whatever that you're excellent at, start considering outsourcing the rest. It gives you the opportunity to grow your revenue without having to have a bigger shop or more equipment, or you'll have to have more people, obviously, but not nearly the amount of people that you would need if you were fabricating everything. So I always try to encourage people, ultimately, get your shop to about a 50-50 ratio where, half of your stuff is being done in-house, half of it's being outsourced, because it allows you, again, if times are great and the economy's on fire and you can expand and increase revenue by outsourcing, that's great. But if things start to kind of, pull back a little bit, it allows you the opportunity to contract and bring that work in-house slowly. And at that point, if maybe you needed to expand equipment or whatever, but it allows you to keep the team, the really good team that you've trained without having to let people go. As far as wholesalers go, build great partnerships with them, right? If you can, go visit their shop. Look, you're looking for quality relationships and quality customers and quality partners. So are they. They're a sign shop. So go and figure out how they operate. Do they make really good quality stuff, the stuff that you want to sell, right? And then, and if you can't make it to them, it's fine, but at least communicate with someone there, their project manager, or just have a 10, 15-minute conversation. How do you want us to deliver files? How do you want everything to be, sized up or what, but ask them, how do you want things from us? And look, and I'm a big believer in this too, like pay them. If you're going to net 30 terms with your customer, don't wait till you're paid and then write them a check. I mean, if they give you terms of net 30, that's awesome. They've delivered the product. See if you can pay them at least a week early. But if you do that, your relationship with them will be really great, and they will make sure they take good care of you. So if I was rebuilding another sign shop, those are some of the things that I would do. And then from there, I would hire a team around the sales, right? So if you're out and you're an owner and you're selling a bunch and you're building quality relationships, you're outsourcing some of the fabrication, focus on really good project managers and designers. Ultimately, hire another salesperson, as long as it's somebody that buys into the idea of making your customers happy. You don't want a slick, sleazy salesperson out there. You want somebody that can, that really aligns with your thinking and your philosophy. And then, then as you're bringing in more projects and you're on top of everything, start to expand production and installation capabilities in-house. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. But most importantly, don't neglect you, right? Look, change takes time. Little incremental changes add up to huge successes. So don't beat yourself up if you've made some mistakes. Celebrate your wins and change slowly. Get a mentor. I think this was something I did not do in my first sign shop, and later on I did develop mentor relationships, and they are really valuable to bounce ideas off of, get direction, and so I recommend doing that. And you might look to your sign association or whatever to find a mentor. Same with the mastermind group. Mastermind groups are also amazing. I'm in a mastermind group right now, and just to be able to meet with other small software business owners that are in the same situation as me, and kind of talk about the problems that we're facing and strategies for overcoming them. And it's been a huge win for me, for sure. You're not that important. Take a darn vacation. I mean, if your shop is at a point where you're so crazy busy that you can't leave for a week to go on a vacation, something's wrong. You need to fix it. Take a vacation. And lastly, look, I always like to say, work happy, right? Have fun and enjoy the process. We're in a cool business. I mean, the sign business is creative. It's fun. It allows you to have relationships with tons of different kinds of people, and you can really use your business to help other people accomplish their goals. So have a blast. So for sitting through this video with me, if you do decide to try SignTracker, I'm biased. There's many different applications out there that you can try. I am pretty passionate about SignTracker, so if you do want to try it, you can just get on, sign up for a free trial. You don't need a credit card. You get a couple of weeks. You have access to me, and we have weekly webinars, and I do individual training. And if you do decide to adopt SignTracker in your shop, that's awesome. I'll add a 25% off coupon on your first annual subscription. Just shoot me an email and say, hey, here's my login information or whatever, my company, and or call me, and I will make sure to get in and add the coupon to your account. So also, I'll email you a link to our Sign Shop Starter Kit, which is a different product. It's just a bunch of files and templates and designs, but it's cool. There's a lot of really valuable stuff in there, forms and sign designs and templates, employee handbooks, just a ton of stuff. So, but usually we get $250 for those. So I will make sure to send you one of those for free if you sign up for an annual plan. Thank you, everyone. Let's work together. I would love it. So here's all my contact information. Reach out anytime. I will always try to make myself available. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys. Take care.